You just walked past someone and caught a whiff of something rank coming off them, and for half a second you felt genuinely sorry for them. Then it hit you. You've been wearing the same shirt for 2 days. You have no idea what you smell like right now. None. Zero. And here's the part that should actually bother you. You never will. Not without a mirror made of someone else's nose. Every other sense you own gives you a live feed of yourself. You can see your own hands. You can hear your own voice, even if it sounds weird on a recording. You can feel your own skin. But smell, the sense that's arguably doing the most detective work behind the scenes, the one that's constantly reading pheromones and body chemistry and health signals, that sense goes completely dark the moment the source is you. You are, biologically speaking, smell blind to yourself. And once you understand why, you start to realize this isn't a glitch. It's one of the most deliberate design choices your nervous system ever made. Let's start with the mechanism because it's stranger than most people assume. Your nose isn't a passive sensor sitting there waiting for smells to arrive. It's an active filtering system, and one of its core jobs is deciding what's worth your attention. When an odor molecule hits a receptor in your nasal cavity, it triggers a signal. But if that same odor keeps hitting the same receptor over and over without changing, the signal gets weaker and weaker, and eventually it stops firing almost entirely. Scientists call this olfactory adaptation, and it's not unique to smell, but smell does it faster and more completely than any other sense you have. Walk into a bakery and the bread smell hits you like a wall. Stay in that bakery for 20 minutes and you'll barely notice it anymore. Not because the bread stopped baking, because your nose decided the information was old news. Now apply that to your own body. You are, quite literally, the bakery you've been standing in since birth. Every molecule your skin releases, every trace of sweat, every bit of bacterial byproduct sitting in your armpits or your scalp, your nose has been getting that exact signal at close range without a single break for your entire life. There has never been a moment where your own smell was new information, which means your receptors adapted to it so long ago and so thoroughly that the signal essentially stopped registering before you were old enough to form memories. You didn't lose the ability to smell yourself. You never had a window where it was novel enough to notice in the first place. Here's where it gets interesting though, because this isn't just about repetition. There's a second layer, and it involves what's actually producing the smell in the first. Sweat itself, fresh out of your pores, is almost odorless. The rank stuff, the thing you're picturing right now, that's not sweat. That's bacteria. Your skin, especially in your armpits and groin, is covered in colonies of microorganisms that feed on the proteins and fatty acids in a specific type of sweat gland called the apocrine gland. Those bacteria break the sweat down and release volatile compounds as a byproduct, and it's those compounds your nose is actually detecting, which means the smell coming off you isn't really your smell. It's a live report from an entire ecosystem of microbes that happen to be living on your body, digesting your secretions. In real time, all day, every day. And this is the part that should genuinely mess with your sense of self a little. That microbial ecosystem is different for every single person. It's shaped by your genetics, your diet, your hormones, even your immune system. There's a whole area of research around this involving something called the major histocompatibility complex, MHC for short, a set of genes involved in immune function. Studies going back to the 1990s, including a famous one involving sweaty t-shirts that participants had to rank by smell, found that people tend to prefer the body odor of others whose MHC genes are different from their own. The theory is that this preference nudges people toward mates with more genetically diverse immune systems, which in turn gives potential offspring a broader, more resilient immune defense. In other words, your nose might be running a background compatibility check on every person you get close to, and you're not consciously aware it's happening at all. Which raises an obvious question. If smell is doing all this quiet, sophisticated work identifying other people, why would evolution turn it off specifically for yourself? Why build a system this precise and then deliberately blind it to the one body it's attached to? The answer is that self-blindness isn't a bug in the system. It's the entire point of the system. Think about what smell is actually for, evolutionarily speaking. It's an early warning system. It's supposed to flag things that are new, unexpected, or potentially dangerous. Rotting food, smoke, a predator's scent on the wind, a stranger's unfamiliar pheromones that might signal threat or opportunity. For that system to work, it has to constantly filter out the background noise so the genuinely important signals can break through. And nothing on Earth is more constant, more unchanging, more permanently present than your own body odor. If your nose treated your own smell with the same alertness it gives a whiff of smoke, you'd be sensory overloaded every waking second of your life. Evolution solved this the same way it solves most filtering problems. It just stopped listening to the signal that never changes. There's a broader version of this happening too, and it explains something you've probably noticed without ever connecting it to your own body. You stop smelling your house after you've lived in it a while. You stop smelling your partner after enough time together. Long-haul truckers stop smelling their own cabs. Anyone who's ever worked around something pungent, a farm, a fish market, a chemical plant, eventually stops registering the smell entirely while visitors gag walking through the door. This is the same adaptation mechanism, just extended outward from your body to your environment. Your nose isn't built to monitor what's constant. It's built to catch what's different. And the most constant, unchanging smell source in your entire life, by definition, is you. This creates a genuinely strange asymmetry, and it's one almost nobody thinks about until it's pointed out. Everyone around you has a real-time, unfiltered read on how you smell. Your coworkers, your friends, strangers on the train. You are the single worst positioned person on the planet to know the answer to that question. It's the reason bad breath catches people off guard so often. It's the reason someone can go weeks without noticing their gym bag has started a small ecosystem of its own. Your nose isn't lying to you. It's just been trained by millions of years of evolution to treat your own smell as irrelevant background information, filed away and ignored before you were even capable of forming an opinion about it. Modern life makes this weirder, not easier. We've built an entire hygiene industry, deodorants, colognes, body washes with 6 different scent layers, partly because we're trying to manage a signal we structurally cannot perceive in ourselves. You're not maintaining your smell based on direct feedback. You're maintaining it on faith, on secondhand comments, on the vague social anxiety of not knowing, which, if you think about it, is a strange way to run one of your most important social signals. Every other read you get on yourself, your reflection, your voice, your handwriting, comes with some form of direct access. Smell is the one closed loop you can never check yourself. You are permanently reading everyone else's broadcast while being completely unable to tune in to your own. So the next time you catch a stranger's cologne from across a room or wrinkle your nose at someone's gym bag, remember the asymmetry runs both ways. Somebody somewhere right now has a live and unfiltered read on exactly what you smell like. And you never will. Not because your nose is broken, because it was built deliberately by a few 100,000 years of survival pressure to stop listening to the one signal that was never going to change. You've been standing in the same bakery your entire life. Of course, you can't smell the bread anymore.